The Seahawks did what? They traded Russell Wilson? Are you kidding me? I'm gonna unpack that today, but my gosh, the news of Russell Wilson no longer being a Seattle Seahawk is a surprise to me. You saw my videos in the past. I very much thought this man was gonna be in Seattle for long term, but boy, have things turned in Seattle. Before I give my thoughts and opinions on this trade, I want to give you guys the specifics of who was traded for who. So, Russell Wilson was sent off to the Broncos, as well as a 4th round pick. Seattle received Drew Lock, Shelby Harris, Noah Fant, 2 first round picks, 2 second round picks, and a 5th round pick. The 1st round pick and 2nd round pick will be for this year's draft, and for next year's draft, they'll have a 1st round and 2nd round draft pick. So Seattle got some draft capital. That is for certain. So that's the trade. That's the specifics. What Russell Wilson got you in the NFL for this season was essentially, if you add up all those people, 8 players. I mean, I guess in a way, if you subtract the 2 that were given, obviously there's going to be a 4th round pick for the Broncos that they're going to ultimately pick, and obviously Russell is himself. You would say that it was essentially a swap of 2 for 6. The first thing as to why I think Seattle made this trade ultimately comes down to the fact that Russell Wilson's contract is going to be ending in 2 years. And Russell Wilson is making not as much as maybe the other premier quarterbacks in the NFL are making. And I think the biggest reason as to why Seattle made this trade simply comes down to Russell Wilson wants to get paid. And he wants to get paid in compensation of the way that he has played. That's the biggest thing that I have seen from this whole entire thing of making it make sense, because man, I am a Russell Wilson fan. Reading this news was absolutely shocking. I'm sitting at work and I get a text from a friend and my friend's like, bruh, and I'm like, what is he even saying right now? And he just goes off with Russell Wilson has been traded. And I'm sitting there thinking, wait, what? Didn't a week ago Pete Carroll sitting down, John Snyder sitting down, Russell Wilson ain't going nowhere. Man, all of a sudden, week later, and it's obviously apparent that Russell Wilson is, as it seems right now, obviously it seems like he has to make the final call of waiving the no trade clause. I don't know if he's actually done that yet. As they're recording this video, he hasn't, in the sense that it's not like official based off of Seattle and the Broncos. So that's the logistics. I think the main reason why Seattle made this move, and it's very hard for me to understand right now, like I said, because at the end of the day, Russell Wilson is easily the best quarterback of Seattle's history. There's never been a better quarterback to put on a Seahawks uniform than Russell Wilson. There's obviously some great quarterbacks in the past. We know about great Dave Craig. I want to say Zorn. I hope that's all. I didn't live in that era, so I only know so much about that era. I grew up with Matt Hasselbeck and now Russell Wilson, and I had Charlie Whitehurst and Tavares Jackson played a little bit, the late Tavares Jackson, bless him, his family. But ultimately, seeing this trade today is so strange in the sense of it. When I saw Russell come into the league, I was an 8th grader, I think, or 7th grader. I mean, I'm 23 now, turning 24 in a month, but I was like, man, this guy, I grew up watching him, and to see him go, it's like there's this almost emotional attachment I have to seeing this guy as I grew up. And you know, that's just ultimately the epitome of sports. We all have our emotions, we all have our feelings about the game, and that's really what it is. So logistically, when it comes to the reasoning behind why Seattle did this move, it makes sense. As a fan of the Seahawks, though, I'm just like, dang, this is hard. You know, this is a man that has given up a lot for this team, has worked hard for this team, and really pressed. He's been a leader amongst many years. He has been a leader for this team, but I almost feel like what Seattle's motive right now with John Schneider's Pete is they're looking to run it back. And what I mean by that is they're looking to do what they did in 2011 when that season ended, and I believe their record was 7-9 back-to-back years, and obviously one year it got them in the playoffs and then the other year it did not. And you know, they were looking at the draft and they saw a QB out of Wisconsin, and they said, that's our guy. And although they signed Matt Flynn and thought that that was going to be their guy, they took a decision to get this man out of Wisconsin. You think Seahawks, you think Russ. And as much as you could think of the Legion of Boom, I mean, this guy stayed with the team. I think the front office stayed with him for years, and I think this relationship just became very fractured in the end. We saw a lot of things in the end. I mean, last year we heard a lot of chatter about Russell Wilson giving 4 trade destinations. If he was to be traded, he would accept these places, and really it's a bittersweet end to what was a tremendous era. I mean, we were brought some amazing football as Seattle Seahawks fans for the 10 years that he was here. I mean, even when the team was very much not in it, very much not a competitive team, he ultimately still was a competitor. I mean, even watching the last few games of last year, playing against Detroit, playing against the Cardinals, it obviously seemed like, as weird as it sounds, it seemed like maybe there was a place that this is coming to an end. But in a way, I was like, nah, there's no way. It's that denial, right? I was denying that this was ever gonna happen because you just don't think Russ would play anywhere but Seattle. But at the end of the day, this is a business, and this is a business to hopefully help your team be the best. And I think if you're a Seahawks fan, you're obviously heavily emotional. You're probably really upset. I mean, I was pretty bummed. I was like, man, this is such a fantastic and phenomenal player. I mean, at the end of the day, I would say, and I don't want to say this take, but I would be shocked if Seattle is a winning team next year without Russell Wilson. I would be very surprised with that, but also a draft could change. I mean, I don't think Seattle's done. I was telling someone today, I really sense that with Seattle making this move with Russell is just showing that no one is safe on that squad. I wouldn't be surprised if Seattle tries to shop around DK Metcalf. I wouldn't be, like there's a lot of things that I sense that Seattle's basically said, we're going full retooling, rebuild, and maybe it's not going to be like a 5-year process, because I don't think Pete Carroll has that. I don't think he has that desire. I think Pete Carroll's probably going to be in the league maybe 2 to 3 more years. Maybe the 5-year contract that he got is probably his end all be all. Like that is his time in the NFL, and maybe that's what they're looking at right now, is this is a 5-year plan, or maybe they just draft excellent players and they get right back into contention. But it's really hard to replace a man that is who Russell Wilson is. And in all reality, you can't necessarily replace what you had. I mean, Russell Wilson provided something for Seattle that I don't think any other quarterback can ever recreate. And I think the grittiness and toughness of that man to play 10 seasons and for the first year out of all years, which was last year, to be injured, that was the first time that he's been hurt in his career and sat out. He's been hurt before, but he was a competitor that stayed in there. And I think that will be heavily missed. I think obviously this decision was brewing for a while. I don't think this was a decision that just was made over the night. I think it was brewing for a while, and we've met the end of an era. So Seattle, they've got a lot of options now when it comes to the draft. They obviously traded a lot of options away when they wanted to get Jamal Adams. So in a way, they've kind of brought back what they gave up. I think they've realized how important those draft picks were, and who knows what they're going to pick. I have kind of some ideas. Maybe they'll go into the quarterback mold. Maybe they'll go into some O-line, pick up some defensive guys. I will say that I think another thing is they must like somebody enough in this draft that made them make this decision. There's got to be somebody out there that Seattle's like, we can't pass him up. And maybe that's a D-line. Maybe that's an offensive guy. Maybe it's a quarterback. I don't know the logistics. I'm obviously not in the war room determining, making these decisions. But there has to be someone that Seattle's like, we got to do this trade. I mean, this is a franchise QB, okay, guys? This is Russell Wilson. The fact he's not a Seahawk is just, that's going to be taking some adjusting to get used to. Let me know your thoughts and opinions, your reactions to this trade. It's obviously, I think, shocked all of us in Seattle. I mean, in a way, it's shocking because you kind of saw this was like a thing that was brewing, but you're like, nah, he's Seattle, you know, Russell Seattle. It's like a blend. This man's part owner of the Sounders. Man gives to the Seattle Sounders hot. Like he is so Seattle. I mean, at the end of the day, Denver, you got a great quarterback. You instantly have become a playoff contender. Russell Wilson brings to the table to it. I mean, that's the other thing too, is like, I have so many thoughts about this, and maybe I'll make another video about other thoughts. I mean, I think at the end of the day, the main reason as to why I think this trade happened was because of the money being paid. But also, you know, Russell Wilson ain't 48 years old. Russell Wilson is 33. He'll be turning 34, obviously. But he is still well within his prime. That if there is a team, and it seems like the Broncos is that team, they've got some good pieces. There's a team that can ultimately show that they care about this guy and that they want to build with him. He's very much in the competition, right back into it. Wherever this man goes, team is going to be in competition. I saw a stat today about like it was his first losing season, and yes, it was a rough season for Seattle. Seattle had a very rough year. This man was literally hurt. You can't really go off of the past season saying, hey, we did this. He was still a Pro Bowler. Obviously, his fan voted, but his stats weren't awful. 26 touchdowns, 5 interceptions with playing limited time as compared to last year, and where the Seahawks were just collectively as a roster, they weren't a great team. I think there was a lot of missed things, like Seattle could have gotten a lot more places, but it don't matter. It's over. It's done. It is official that Seattle, or at least it seems reported, it's a verbal agreement that this decision is done. So give me your reactions. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys have a great day. Russell Wilson, I hope you nothing but the best, man. I hope that you just do great in Denver. And, you know, I would say in a way, I believe that you probably will make Seattle regret this decision. Even as a Seahawks fan, I genuinely think that Seattle's going to be like, wow, look at how well he's playing in that area. I think Russell Wilson is going to do great things with Denver, and congrats to just this new adventure for him. I mean, I don't know if the congrats is the right word, but ultimately I hope this new adventure for you, man, is a blessing for you and your family. And I hope that transition is smooth. I mean, obviously a lot of us here in the world of, we just see as fans, we just like, oh, these guys are players and they get traded. It's a whole entire life change to go from a place that you have considered home for 10 years to just completely uprooting your family and going to somewhere else. And obviously they make money, I get it, but it's definitely not an easy transition. So hopefully that bodes well for you. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed my thoughts and opinions, and I hope you have a fantastic and blessed day. Take care.